And the reason we are here today with Janine Ryan is that Janine has provided exemplary service over many, many years. And as we know, that kind of dedication to the city is the backbone of what makes the city tick. And we always are so grateful for the service and actually take great heartfelt gratitude to offer you this award and resolution. So I will read the resolution, and we also have Director Poor here who can give some greater detail to how this service meant so much to the city of Minneapolis. But I'll read the resolution first. So, honoring Janine Ryan for her service to the city of Minneapolis, where Janine Ryan began her career with the city in 1984 as a parking meter monitor and was promoted to field supervisor, directing traffic for 2 World Series and the first Super Bowl. Janine Ryan became the city's first female sidewalk inspector in 2001 and was soon after promoted supervisor over the development review process for Public Works. And whereas Janine Ryan was instrumental in the development and implementation of the city's Development Review Customer Service Center in 2005, and whereas Janine Ryan has effectively served tens of thousands of customers, including architects, designers, contractors, and residents as manager and deputy director of Development Review since 2006. And whereas Janine Ryan has demonstrated outstanding professional contributions to the city and has been awarded the city's Cup of Excellence in 1992, the Public Works Tyrannosaurus Rex Award of 2003, I don't know, but it sounds like it's a big deal, and the Minneapolis 150th Anniversary Teams That Changed the Course of History Award in 2008 for her work on establishing the Minneapolis Development Review Customer Service Center. And whereas Janine Ryan has been tireless leader and participant in promoting civic participation and volunteerism of city staff in the Second Harvest Heartland, National Marrow Donor Program, and Memorial Blood Donations. And whereas Janine Ryan has been a trusted colleague, a compassionate leader, and throughout and a thoughtful employee for 35 years in the city of Minneapolis. Therefore, be it resolved that the mayor and city council hereby celebrate and honor her accomplishments, contributions, and dedicated service to the citizens of the city of Minneapolis. Thank you.
Thank you.
And when you do a certain level of service for a certain duration, you get one of the most coveted and heavy awards we can give you, the Father of Waters. And I present that to you. Director Poor?
Thank you, Councilmember Wright. Thank you, Council President Bender, Mayor Fry, the City Council for recognizing Janine. I've worked with Janine for most of my career. I want to say we shorted her on the proclamation. She was also the city's North Star Outstanding Leader Award in 2017, so we want to acknowledge that. But it's been a great pleasure working with Janine. Janine really does bring a lot of herself to the job. She deeply cares about her employees. She deeply cares about customers. She was a really good person to have working on the original one-stop Minneapolis Development Review, really listening to what customers were telling her, paying attention. I first met Janine when I was on the Accident Review Board, and you were a traffic monitor, and I remember you came in, I think you guys were still wearing the epaulets and the outfits then, and we ended up coming back together and working in the Development Review Center. I also want to say Janine really is a great volunteer for the city of Minneapolis and community. She is a tireless volunteer. She put together Second Harvest teams, making other city employees better people by kind of getting us to come to participate. I know some of the people out here have gone there and we've worked in the warehouse. She has given over 30 gallons of blood. I don't even think I have any blood in my veins someday. I don't know how you give 30 gallons, but she does that twice a month, consistently over a long period of time. Janine is the kind of employee that we are so grateful to have. She's a long resident of Northeast Minneapolis. Her heart's in Minneapolis, and she cares deeply about the city. So I personally want to say it's been a great pleasure working with you. You've made us all better, and I wish you all the best, and your family is here as well, so we want to say hi to them. I know your daughter couldn't make it today, I don't think, but that's great. Did you want to say a few words, Janine?
I'm so grateful for the opportunity to work for the city and to live in the city, and I'm going to miss everybody, especially my team, colleagues. It's like a family for me. been through a lot together. Met my husband here, writing him a parking ticket, actually. and the city supported me through, his stage 4 cancer, and it couldn't be a better place to work and a more supportive environment. So, thank you.
Yeah, good job. Thank you. Well done.
Thank you, Councilman.
Good morning. My name is Andrea Jenkins. I am the Vice President of the Minneapolis City Council. And I want to acknowledge that Council President Bender is away on city business today, so I will be chairing this meeting. I'm going to call to order the regular meeting of the full City Council for November 16th and ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Present.
Ellison.
Present.
Goodman.
Present.
Johnson.
Present.
Palmisano.
Present.
Gordon.
Here.
Cano.
Here.
Wright.
Here.
Fletcher.
Here.
President Bender is absent. Schroeder.
Here.
Warsami.
Present.
Vice President Jenkins.
Here.
There are 12 members present.
Let the record reflect that we do have a quorum. The agenda for today's business is before us. Are there any amendments to the agenda? I will recognize the majority leader for a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed say no. That carries, and the agenda is adopted. The first item on the agenda is the acceptance of the minutes from our regular meeting of November 2nd, and I will recognize the majority leader for that motion.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That carries, and those minutes are accepted. And finally, we have the referrals of petitions, communications, and reports to proper communities. I will recognize the majority leader for the motion to make those referrals.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed say no. That carries, and those referrals are made. And next order of business is the reports from our standing committees, and the first report will be from the Committee of the Whole, presented by that committee member's Vice Chair, Council Member Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The Committee of the Whole brings forward one item. It is approving the 2019, 2020, and 21 calendar of the regular meetings for the City Council, directing the City Clerk to publish and post the calendars, and authorizing the City Clerk to incorporate changes to the calendar as necessary. I move approval of this item.
Councilmember Cunningham has moved the committee's report. Is there any discussion? The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Cano.
Aye.
Wright. Fletcher.
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
The report carries, and the report is adopted. The next report is from the Economic Development and Regulatory Services Committee, given by that committee's chair, Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The Economic Development and Regulatory Services Committee is bringing 18 items forward for approval this morning. Items 1, 2, 3, and 4 are requests for liquor licenses in sidewalk cafes. Item 5 is the levy for special assessments relating to nuisance conditions. Item 6 are changes in our administrative citation ordinances. 7 are the liquor license approvals. 8 are the business license approvals. 9 are the business license renewals. 10 are the gambling license approvals. Item 11 is a license settlement conference recommendation. Item 12 is the NCAA Final Four designated large event zone. Item 13 are our Pathways 2018 grant agreements. Item 14 are changes in an amendment with Hennepin County with regard to MFIP. Item 15 is a contract amendment with Employ Milwaukee for IT employment and training services. Item 16 are grants from Deed. Item 17 are grants from Hennepin County. And item 8 is a rental license reinstatement. With that, I'll move items 1 through 18 for approval this morning.
Councilmember Goodman has moved that committee's report. Is there any discussion? The clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Fletcher.
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and that report is adopted. Next, we have the report of the Enterprise Committee presented by its chair, Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. There are 7 items that I would like to make a motion for your approval today. The first is a contract with Hennepin County for the use of imaging software, a pictometry license. Item number 2 is a compliance management system for the Civil Rights Department. Item number 3 is a contract to provide e-discovery and redaction systems. Item number 4 is a contract for teleconferencing services. Item number 5 is a contract to conduct a business impact analysis across our city enterprise. And items number 6 and 7 are contracts with vendors to establish IT consulting pools. I'm happy to answer any questions, and I move these items for approval.
Councilmember Palmisano has moved the committee's report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Fletcher.
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and the report is adopted. The next report is from the Housing Policy and Development Committee, presented by that committee's chair, Councilmember Gordon.
The Housing Policy and Development Committee is bringing forward 13 items today for consideration. The first 5 items, or 4 items, are land sales. One is a land sale of 1124 21st Avenue North. Number 2 is 2212 36th Avenue North. Number 3 is 3518 Emerson Avenue North. And number 4 is 3547 Humboldt Avenue North. Item number 5 is a resolution approving the tax modifications to 10 tax increment financing plans to increase the TIF budgets for affordable housing. Number 6 is having to do with exclusive development rights for the Satori project, denying a waiver for payment of holding costs associated with those rights. Number 7 is a resolution decertifying the Portland Place Tax Increment Financing District as of December 31st of this year. Number 8 is approving and granting exclusive development rights for 628 Franklin Avenue East to DIVINE, or Divine. Number 9 is authorizing staff to continue with project analysis for authorization of tax increment financing for the Redwell Apartments at 1003rd Street North. Number 10 is consideration of developers to participate in our Home Ownership Works program. The committee moved this forward without recommendation. I'm going to move it forward with recommendation to approve the staff recommendation as in the report. Number 11 is approving preliminary reservation of our 2019 low-income housing tax credits. This is over $1.5 million in tax credits that will go towards affordable housing. And number 12 is approving our 2018 Affordable Housing Trust Fund awards. This is over $10 million from our Affordable Housing Trust Fund. These are probably the most significant actions we will take this year to support affordable housing development in the city. There's a number of different projects listed on the agenda. And the 13th and final item is authorizing staff to continue the analysis of the Portland at 3rd Avenue Apartments to determine if tax increment financing assistance is appropriate and justifiable. So I'll move all those forward and with noting that they're moving recommendation of the one on the home ownership program.
Councilmember Gordon has moved the approval of the committee report. Is there any discussion? Councilmember Goodman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just wanted to comment on items 11 and 12. Is this an appropriate time?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the fact that Chair Gordon has pointed out items 11 and 12, which are the reservation of our allocation of low-income housing tax credits and the Affordable Housing Trust Fund recommendations. There is a lot of talk about what we are doing with regard to affordable housing, and here is a very concrete example of not only what we're doing, but putting our money where our mouth is. It's not just $1.5 million in tax credits. Those tax credits are sold for about 90 cents on the dollar, which means they generate about $13 million in equity for 2 projects that are affordable to people at 30% of the metro-wide area median income. So when folks come in and tell us they think we need to do something, this is an example of something that we're doing that is very, very significant. In fact, 2 projects, one of which, Maya Commons, that's been on the books for a long time, will be able to close as a result of these tax credits being allocated and Amber Apartments being next on the list. I'll also note that a number of the projects that are receiving funding from the Affordable Housing Trust Fund are also groundbreaking projects, including the one on the near north side in the neighborhood that Councilmember Ellison lives in, right adjacent to where I live, which is the Art Space North Side Loft project. This is in a neighborhood that has seen no new development, none, despite its proximity to downtown for many, many years. And this is a mixed-use, mixed-income project in partnership with Wellington Development and Juxtaposition Arts that is going to be doing a beautiful gallery in the space. There'll be artist live workspace, affordable housing, and office space being paid for by Wellington. So there are some very significant projects receiving funding from the city. This is an example of walking the talk, not just talking the talk, about moving on affordable housing, and I could not allow the moment to move forward as though it was some sort of minor thing. We're talking about, in excess of $25 million being allocated by our votes here today, and that makes a huge difference.
Thank you for highlighting those important projects. Next we have from Councilmember Schroeder.
I just want to echo the comments of Councilmember Goodman. I think that she made a really good point about, we have some exemplary projects that are getting through because of this, but I think folks are right to call out that the city needs to do more on affordable housing, and I think this is a good point to show the city's doing what it can. It can with the tools it has. We're being very smart, leveraging the dollars we have, reaching out to the private market as well to get more affordable housing. And I think in this council, you're going to see more and more effort to do that. Thanks.
Thank you. Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you. I just wanted to chime in a little bit more here, too. I think that the significance is worth noting and worth talking about, and I think we're actually talking about over 760 units of affordable rental housing that will be created here. And I'm going to just notice the Linea project. It's going to actually provide 78 units of low-income housing for disabled adults experiencing homelessness, and that's just kind of a typical kind of a project. This one is particularly interesting because when they first started, the Linea House was very controversial. There were all residents in the neighborhood who wanted to stop it, and that was a theme maybe 20 or 30 years ago about we can't be doing this. Now with most of these projects, we have communities and neighborhoods coming in and embracing them, supporting the projects, and there was nobody that we heard from about the Linea House in particular, but any of the projects that wasn't anything less than supportive and open to it. And that's, I think, in part because of the wonderful partners that we have in our community who are doing these kinds of developments and are willing and able to do them so that they're managed well and so that they don't only serve the residents who need the housing, but they also are become assets to the neighborhoods and the communities where they're built.
Thank you. Are there any other comments? So the clerk will now call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Fletcher.
Aye.
Schroeder.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and that report is adopted. Next, we have a report from our Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee, presented by its chair, Councilmember Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee brings forward 10 items. The first is a grant application to the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services for the Healthy Start program. Number 2 is a grant application to the Minnesota Department of Health for evidence-based home visiting program. Number 3 is approving updates to the Minneapolis healthy food policy. 4 are memorandums of understanding with the United States and State of Minnesota Departments of Labor to promote compliance with minimum wage laws in Minneapolis. Number 6 is Workplace Advisory Committee appointments. 7 is 2018 One Minneapolis funding recommendations. Number 8 is donation of travel and lodging expenses for Bloomberg American Health Summit. 9 is a contract with Tree Trust for tree planting services. And number 10 is the Americans with Disabilities Act Action Plan report. I move approval of these items.
Councilmember Cunningham has moved approval of these items. Is there any discussion? And I see in queue Councilmember Palmisano.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Actually, item number 3, this is the substitute motion, which I spoke of yesterday. This motion, this substitute gives just some legal updates to this policy. Just as a reminder, this policy is updating a very old policy and one that we want to get in place so that we can do the appropriate RFPs for food vendors for our new building. This policy versus what was passed through the Peace Committee, it has very minor wording updates that our city attorney's office felt was important, and it updates the contact information appropriately. So I would like to move this substitute motion as an alternative to item number 3.
Okay. Councilmember Palmisano has moved a substitute motion, and I see in queue Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you very much. It's just a little hard for me because it's all as a substitute and there's no strike through or underlining. Could you just call our attention maybe to where the small changes occur on the document?
Councilmember Palmisano.
Sure, I would be happy to do that. I can also forward you the strike-throughs in red text for the new and added, but the changes are in the synopsis, instead of establishes, it says updates the current policy, and it links our policy to as defined in the food service guidelines for federal facilities and meets Fitwell designation standards for food services. The second change is the administrating department information is not Alia Ali, but now Sarah Shile, and updates the phone number for that. The item number 3 change is policy statement first paragraph. Instead of talking about diet-related chronic conditions, overweight, and obesity, it says including diabetes and obesity. Item number 4, the policy statement second paragraph. Instead of and increase healthy choice options, it says to increase healthy choice options and to promote a healthy food environment. And in the final paragraph, instead of saying the Wellness Committee, in partnership with the Department of Health and Family Support, is directed to develop and maintain procedures to implement and support this policy and is in alignment with the health and sustainability guidelines for federal facilities. It now says, instead of directed, authorized, because we are authorizing staff to manage this policy, to develop and maintain, and is in alignment with the food service guidelines for federal facilities, which was the more appropriate place to link this policy to.
Thank you very much. Given that, I'm supportive of these improvements and changes.
I will also forward this red line version to the council.
Are there any other comments on the substitute motion? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Cano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Fletcher.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries. And I put myself in queue to speak to item number 7 on the agenda, just to highlight the One Minneapolis Fund and the various communities that have been awarded funding from the city to work on projects in their respective communities, and wanted to really just highlight number 8, the contract with the Minnesota Transgender Health Coalition. This is Transgender Awareness Month, and so it really is important that we as the city support this community and several others, including Reclaim and the Bridge for Youth, during this time when many of these communities are under attack from our federal and sometimes state government. So I just wanted to lift that up. And so now we will vote on the adoption of that report. And seeing there's no other questions, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich.
Aye.
Fletcher.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and that report is adopted. The next report is from the Transportation and Public Works Committee, given by its chair, Councilmember Wright.
Thank you, Madam Vice President. The committee forwards 15 items today for the full body's consideration. Item 1 is the water sewer service line repair and assessments. Item 2 is the non-governmental tax-exempt parcel street light operation fee and 2019 assessments. Item 3 is the non-governmental tax-exempt parcel street maintenance and the 2019 assessments. And 4 is the sidewalk construction permit ordinance. 5 is a series of actions, but they all relate to the safety training and training service vendor pool for 2018 to 2023. Item 5 is authorizing a contract with Dakota County Technical College in an amount not to exceed $300,000 for a 3-year period to provide customized safety training and training services to public work employees. Item 6 is authorizing a contract with St. Cloud Technical Community College for 3 years to provide customized safety training as well. Item 7 is the authorized a contract with Industrial Hygiene Services Corporation for services provided. Item 8 is authorizing a contract with South Central College for a 3-year period to provide safety training along with the other groups. And I think all the other items are just basically approving people we've worked with in the past. Item 6 is the contract amendment with TyTac Concrete Incorporated for Lyndale Safe Routes to School project. Item 7 is a contract amendment with M10 Cleaning and Lining for cast iron water mains. Item 8 is the 2018 levy for various Public Works Department special assessments. Item 9 is the alley easement deeds for Wells Fargo Bank for a portion of 3021 and 3025 Humboldt Avenue South. Item 10 is the Orange Line Bus Rapid Transit Station at Lake Street Station. It's a name change per the recommendation of the community, and it's an adjustment based on a lake change of a noted body of water in our city. Item 11 is the Metropolitan Airports Commission 2019-2025 Preliminary Capital Improvement Program. These are the comments that our staff are providing. Item 12 is the bid for rental work zone traffic control devices. Item 13 is the bid for sidewalk and parking lot snow clearing, removal, ice control services for the special service districts. Item 14 is the bid for the 4th Street Southeast Electrical Enhancement Project. And the final item, 15, is the bid for the 34th Avenue South Street Reconstruction Project. Madam Vice President, I move all items as submitted.
Councilmember Wright has moved for approval of that committee's report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Kano.
Aye.
Reich. Fletcher.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsami.
Aye.
Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
The next report is from our Ways and Means Committee, presented by the chair of that committee, Councilmember Warsame.
Thank you, Madam Vice President.
The Ways and Means Committee has 11 items to bring forth to the council. Item number 1, 2, and 3 are legal settlements. Item number 4 is a grant award from the Minnesota Homeland Security and Emergency Management for Police Bomb Disposal Unit. Item number 5 is a one-time transfer of cash balance from the parking fund to the general fund. Item number 6 is 2018 Tenant Remedy Act assessments. Item number 7 is a contract amendment with Meyer, Schroeder, and Rock Castle Limited, or MSR Design, for architect and engineering of record design services for the new public service building. Item number 8 is the bids for concrete, steel installation and waterproofing for the new public service building project. Item number 9 is a contract amendment with Backbone Enterprises, Inc. for cybersecurity review. Item number 10 is an appointed position in the Public Works Department, and this is for Deputy Director, Public Works Business Administration. And item number 11 is a collective bargaining agreement for Construction Equipment Operators Unit, 2018 through 2020, and I move approval of all items.
Councilmember Warsame has moved approval of the committee report. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon. Cano.
Aye.
Wright. Fletcher.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsame.
Aye.
Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and that report is adopted. And finally, we have the report from our Zoning and Planning Committee, which is presented by that committee's chair, Councilmember Schroeder.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Zoning and Planning Committee has 6 items for approval today. The first is granting an appeal at 501 and 511 11th Avenue South. The second is granting an appeal at 4357 Minnehaha Avenue. The third is granting approval of an utility easement vacation at 277 12th Avenue North. The fourth is approving a rezoning and vacation at 2210 and 2301 Oliver Avenue North, 2104 and 2106 23rd Avenue North, 2027, 2029, and 2033 West Broadway. The fifth is approving an application for rezoning at 2801 and 2801 and a half California Street Northeast. And the final is approving a rezoning and alley vacation at 854, 902, 904, and 14th Avenue Northeast. And I'll move for approval.
Councilmember Schroeder has moved that committee's report for approval. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, I will ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Cano.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Fletcher.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsame.
Aye.
Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and the report is adopted. Our next order of business is a report from special committees, and we do have a report from the executive committee today. I will recognize the minority leader for that committee's report, Councilmember Gordon.
Thank you very much, Vice President Jenkins. And on behalf of the Executive Committee, I would like to move that we receive and file the reappointment by the Executive Committee of Madeira Arredondo to the appointed position of Chief of Police for a 3-year term beginning January 2nd, 2019, and that we refer the matter of this reappointment to the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee for a public hearing to be held on November 29th, 2018.
Councilmember Gordon has moved to refer the reappointment for a public hearing at the regular meeting of the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee meeting. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, the clerk will call the roll.
Councilmember Cunningham.
Aye.
Ellison.
Aye.
Goodman.
Aye.
Johnson.
Aye.
Palmisano.
Aye.
Gordon.
Aye.
Cano.
Aye.
Wright.
Aye.
Fletcher.
Aye.
Schrader.
Aye.
Warsame. Vice President Jenkins.
Aye.
There are 12 ayes.
That carries, and that reappointment will be set for a public hearing at the next regular meeting of the Public Safety and Emergency Management Committee, which will meet on Thursday, November 29th. Next order of business is notices of ordinance introductions, and we have 2 notices being given today. First, from Councilmember Palmisano, we have a notice to introduce at the next regular meeting the subject matter of an ordinance to amend the city charter related to the proposed establishment of a biennial budget process. Second, Council members Gordon, Ellison, and Schroeder give notice that they will introduce at the next regular meeting the subject matter of an ordinance amending the code related to intentional communities and cluster developments. Are there any questions on those notices? If not, those notices are given and no further action is required. The next order of business is consideration of the introduction and referral calendar. First, pursuant to the notice, Councilmember Gordon moves to introduce, give first reading to, and refer to the Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee the subject matter of an ordinance related to invasive tree species. Second, pursuant to that notice, Councilmembers Schroeder and Gordon move to introduce, give first reading to, and refer to the Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee the subject matter of an ordinance related to residential energy disclosures. Are there any questions on either of those introductions? If not, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That carries, and all 4 introductions have been made, and those subject matters will be referred to the standing committees in the next cycle as indicated on the agenda. And our next order of business is resolutions, and we do have a resolution, honorary resolution for Janine Ryan, which was presented prior to the start of this meeting. All those in favor of adopting that resolution say aye. Aye. Those opposed say no. That carries, and the resolution honoring Janine Ryan is officially adopted. That brings us to unfinished business, and we do have several items here. It is my understanding that items 2 through 6 continue to remain under review by staff and will therefore be postponed until the next regular meeting of the full council, pending a resolution to the outstanding issues connected to those rental dwelling licenses. That leaves the first item under finished business, which is the appeal that was submitted by Paul Zubner for enclosed underground parking at 424 Washington Avenue North. This was postponed at the request of Councilmember Fletcher. Councilmember Fletcher, are we now ready to proceed with this matter today?
We are.
All those in favor of adopting that resolution, say aye.
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 Those opposed, say no. And
Madam Vice President, I just needed to clarify
Yes,
for the
Mr.
record
Clerk.
pieces. I'm so sorry that I didn't catch that. So maybe I could turn to Councilmember Fletcher to clarify the exact action that we're about to vote on. I myself was not clear on that. I'm sorry, Councilmember.
thank you, Mr. Clerk, and Councilmember Fletcher.
Thank you, Vice President Jenkins. So we had requested delay on this in an attempt to negotiate a better alternative. I've been notified that that's not going to be possible, so I'm moving approval of this item along with findings of fact as prepared by the City Attorney's Office.
Thank you. Does that satisfy your inquiry?
And then, Madam President, yes, I think I understand that we just took a vote. I didn't see any in opposition, so that'd be a full vote in favor of what Councilmember Fletcher just clarified for me. Thank you.
And just to be clear, do we need to have a roll call for that?
Madam President, unless someone objects to being recorded as voting in the affirmative, I'm going to take it that that is done.
I believe on the voice vote, that motion carried. All right. So that application is approved, and under the new business, we have a motion to set a public hearing for an ordinance amending the code to establish a municipal identification program to be conducted by the Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights and Engagement Committee at its next regular meeting on Monday, November 26th at 1:30 p.m. Colleagues, as you may recall, this subject matter was introduced in the last council term and was reintroduced as part of the organizational process with the beginning of this council term. It has been the focus of significant community, policymaker, and staff work for many, many months. Before we take a vote on setting this hearing, I do really want to recognize Councilmember Cano for her really outstanding leadership on this issue and invite her to make any comments or remarks if she chooses.
Thank you, Council Vice President. I appreciate it. So folks know that the public hearing's coming up on the 26th, and we are really excited to welcome a lot of community partners to that, and we've been working with the mayor's office and our city staff consistently on this project over the last months since we began discussions late last year. So we do have a budget allocation that is partnering with this effort, and we have a community meeting this Saturday, meaning tomorrow, from 9 to 11 a.m. at the White House to just get everyone on the same page, get ready for the public hearing. A lot of folks that are coming to the public hearing on the 26th have never been to City Hall or to a public hearing before. So we're just doing a lot of communication and preparation. So I look forward to having a discussion with my colleagues about the program on the 26th. Should be a good one.
Thank you, Councilmember Cano. I too am really excited about this conversation, and hopefully this issue continues to move forward. It has been, there have been a lot of engagement from community, staff, and policymakers to make this a reality, and I'm glad to see that we're taking positive steps forward. So with that, all in favor of the motion to set the public hearing on this ordinance, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed, say no. That carries, and the public hearing has been set. We will hear from the community on this proposed new program at the Public Health, Environment, Civil Rights, and Engagement Committee at its regular meeting on Monday, November 26th at 1:30 p.m. in this chamber. And finally, do we have any announcements or comments from council members? No? Again, I will just add myself into queue and just, I know I mentioned this earlier, but reiterate that November is Transgender Awareness Month. November 19th is Transgender Remembrance Day. In 2018, thus far, there have been 28 murders of transgender people of color throughout the United States. And this is an epidemic. I am really proud of the efforts that the city of Minneapolis is taking to address these really deeply concerning issues in our community, and just want to make sure that we all recognize and do all we can to be allies to this vulnerable community. And the chair will recognize Councilmember Cunningham.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that as well. I just wanted to draw folks' attention to also on November 26th at our last peace meeting, we're going to be having a public hearing about the Office of Violence Prevention. So this is a very direct, concrete way that the city is responding to violence out in the community and looking at it very comprehensively from a public health approach to public safety. This is going to be institutionalizing the work so that it's leader-proof, meaning, you know, doesn't matter who is in office, but the work will remain there. And so I just wanted to make that announcement so folks know if people are experiencing violence in their community and this is something that they support, they want to have their feedback heard, to please join us for that public hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Cunningham. And with that, we have concluded the business to come before the City Council. We have a motion to adjourn to a closed session to discuss litigation matters with the city attorney. I will recognize the majority leader for that motion.
So move.
All those in favor say aye. Those opposed say no.
Do we have a second on that?
Mr. Clerk, was there a proper second?
Yes.
Okay.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed say no. And that carries, and we are adjourned. Have a great weekend and a happy holiday season, everyone.
Sorry about that. I didn't hear